the Serenity Prayer. It says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. I love that.
Yeah, no, that's a great, what is it, a poem, a quote? What will we call that?
It's a prayer.
It's a prayer. Okay.
Yeah, Serenity
Yeah.
Prayer.
Yeah. And I think like that prayer hits on an issue that causes a lot of anxiety and depression and just struggle in today's day and age.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think we as humans, like we have this tendency to want to control everything. We want to know what's going to happen. We want to know what our future holds for us. We want to be able to plan every little thing. And because of that, when wrenches get thrown in plans, we try to change things that are unchangeable, and we kind of lose our sense of control after that point. And so I wanted to tell a story that happened to me this past week. I was traveling to Charlotte with a few of my friends, and on the way home, I was scheduled to fly out on a Monday night, and I had class the next day. It was my first day of class. I had 2 classes, and my flight was supposed to leave at 8 p.m. and I get to the airport around like 6. Like 20 minutes later, I find out my flight's delayed till 10. So I was like, okay, like 2 hours later. The sky seemed clear though, so I was like, I don't understand, like with the weather. So I was like, whatever, like it's fine. 2 hours, like I can wait 2 hours. And then another hour passes, so now it's like 8:15ish, and I get another notification, and it says my flight's now moved back to 1:30 a.m. I was like, oh, all right, like I'm still like, okay. I had a book to read, so I was good. And then I got another notification around like 10, and it said your flight's been delayed till 2:30. So at this point, I'm like, I've been already waiting at the airport for like 3 or 4 hours, and they keep moving the flight back. So they might just cancel it. And I had a place to go home to. Like I could stay with one of my friends. So I wanted to go home and sleep. But, I stayed at the airport. And finally around like 11:30, so I've been at the airport for 5 hours now, and they kept delaying my flight. The guy at the desk, he makes an announcement saying that the flight's been canceled. And so when that happened, I immediately had this reaction to want to feel angry, to be like, yo, like, why couldn't you just tell me this like 4 hours ago? So I could have went home. I could have slept. I didn't have to wait in the airport. I could have figured out plans, like rebooked my flight. And immediately when I felt that feeling well up in me, my next thought was, this is not in your control. And what helped me realize that was I was looking around me, and a bunch of people, after they heard the announcement, got up from their seats and went up to the desk and were like swarming this poor dude. It was like 7 or 8 of them around there with their bags. They were yelling, they were upset. They were like, what are we going to do? All this stuff. And I realized that in that moment that's not the way that I wanted to react, because from the position that I was in, I noticed that wasn't actually going to change the situation.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did was I was like, okay, my flight's canceled. Let's move on from that. And I started to look for other flights that I can book. I called the airline, saw what I could do. And then I made moves. So I recognized what I couldn't control, which was the flight got canceled. And I realized what I could control, which is, my first of all, my feelings and my thoughts about the situation. And then what I could do to move forward from there. And I just noticed that a lot. With people trying to, just getting angry or letting their emotions get the best of them, trying to change situations that are just unchangeable. And so I think that's really important to recognize that. And, you look around at the people who are getting angry, and they're sacrificing their own happiness and their own peace and their own serenity, like from the prayer, because they don't know they didn't have the wisdom in that moment to tell the difference of what they could and couldn't control.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's also really important. Like kudos to you, because that's not easy, especially like you said, like you had the human reaction, like initially you did want to get angry as the other people did. But I think it's really important to note that it's the other people who were experiencing or getting angry and experiencing that emotion, who chose that emotion. They were in the exact same situation as you.
Mm-hmm.
Same circumstance. Canceled flight, late at night. They'd been waiting for hours, but they chose to get angry, and you chose to not get angry and to do something about it. So I think it's really important to point out that it doesn't matter the circumstance. I think a lot of people blame the circumstance and say like, well, if you were in the same situations, you would be mad too. But that's actually not true.
Mm-hmm.
It's a capacity for noticing what you're noticing. Which, dude, did we do an episode on that? We better have. All right, we got to check on that, because that's like also a foundation episode but anyway, noticing what you're noticing, realizing like you did, like noticing like, okay, I feel like I want to get angry. I feel the anger, but who do I want to be? Like, what choice do I want to make? Because that's what you
Mm-hmm.
do get to choose. So when you notice what you're noticing, it's like you noticed that you were getting angry. So you noticed that you were noticing you're getting angry. So that separated you from the actual emotion that that connected you to your power as a spiritual being. And from that objective, or at least as best as you can get to an objective viewpoint, you had that different viewpoint or had that choice. You realized the choice and you made that choice into doing what you felt you or rather what you wanted to experience.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's so important to realize that it's always a choice, and it does not matter the circumstance, no matter what it is.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, and this would have been me like 4 or 5 years ago, would have kind of been taken aback by your comment of, oh, it's a, like they chose to feel that way.
Yeah.
Because my initial reaction, like if I was hearing this for the first time, would have been like, what do you mean? Like the canceled flight caused me to get angry.
Yeah.
I can't get home.
Yep.
But it's not the canceled flight that caused you to get angry. It was your thoughts about the canceled flight that caused you to get angry.
Yeah.
And your thinking about situations is completely under your control.
Yep.
In your domain to think a certain way to generate those feelings about a thing. So those people who were getting angry at the guy at the desk, they were getting angry because they thought that he was responsible for the way that they were feeling.
Yes.
But they weren't responsible. He wasn't responsible. They were responsible.
Yeah. And even further, I mean, like taking like really like an objective viewpoint is like the guy actually didn't have any like say over whether the flight was canceled or not. So like their anger was misplaced anyway, but still.
Right.
I get what definitely what you're pointing out. And is there anything else you want to say about that? Because I have a story I want to share that hones in on it too.
Well, I just want to like bring up the point for like any adverse situation that occurs in your life, to realize that once it occurs, like the second after, it's in the past now. So humans, like because we have this amazing brain, this conscious thinking brain, we have the ability to replay things over and over and over again in our mind. And we've talked about on previous episodes that the brain and the body can't tell the difference between something vividly imagined and something that's actually happening. And so when we choose to replay the same thoughts and the same emotions about a situation over and over and over again, we're putting our body into the situation over and over and over again. And we do that with a lot of things. And so crappy things are going to happen to you in your life. Shitty things are going to happen that you don't want to happen. But once they happen, the intelligent thing to do would be to accept it and then move on from that situation and see what you can learn from it, and then see how you can change further things going forward. But looking back and trying to change the situation, it's not an intelligent thing to do.
Unless you're the Flash.
Yeah.
Because then you could time travel. But we don't have that.
But then you can like fuck shit up.
Yeah.
You can like mess stuff up.
Oh yeah. Don't mess up the timeline. Barry did that. Barry Allen.
Yeah. There's this. Did you hear the meows? It's a stray
I keep hearing. Yep.
It's a stray cat.
Oh, it's that cat outside.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's like it's been around our house now. Like dude, it even hopped up on to the second floor.
Dad told me that yesterday.
But it won't let us pet her because it's never had human contact before. So it like really wants to be loved, but like it won't let. It's like, yo, a lot of humans are like that too.
Yeah, that's another episode. So I want attention. That's there's a whole thing of like, every act is a call for love or an expression of love. But a lot of unskillful things are call for loves. But anyway, but you make a really good point. And I have another story that I heard, and it's very similar to yours, only to an extreme. Like, because this is a canceled flight, right? But taking this perception and the choice to choose what thoughts and what feelings you want to think and feel is a power that is always with you, no matter what the circumstance is, no matter how insurmountable it seems, or no matter how bad it seems. And I know that just seems like words. That's why I want to tell this story. And this blew my mind. Like, if you really get into this story and imagine you're in this person's shoes, dude, I don't know if I would be able to exercise this power at that level. But this man is clearly that robust in his consciousness. And we can all achieve that. It takes work, but it's so worth it. And so here's the story. And Chris, I believe you know this story. Viktor Frankl.
Yeah.
The concentration camps.
Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah. When
Just
you were saying that, I was like, it must be this dude.
oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
insane. It's amazing. So story goes, he was in the concentration camps. He was taken in World War II, correct? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not a history buff. Although I should. That's like basic knowledge. But yes, I
Like
got
the
it right.
opposite of history buff, though.
I got it
Like,
right though.
yeah. There's
Yeah.
like history buff, and then there's like knowing basic history, and then there's you.
Hey, at least I mean I was questioning it, but still I got
Yeah.
it. So yeah, World War II. He was taken into the concentration camps, and he spent months and months, maybe even years there. And his family was taken as well, and his children were taken away from him. His wife was taken away from him. They were killed, and he had nothing. And he spent so long there that he was a doctor, I believe, Dr. Viktor Frankl. It's got a ring to it. So he wanted to get his work out there in the world, and so he wrote like a manuscript of like his life's work, like literally on toilet paper. And they the Germans even found that and burned it. Rather, I'll say the Nazis, because it's not the Germans. They burned it. And so they took basically everything from him. And there was one experience, the experience that he had, that I really want to highlight. That, again, worse, honestly, I can't think of a more worse circumstance. People have taken your family, they've killed them, you'll never see them again. And now your life's work is burned, it's gone. And there was one experience that he had that he writes about in his book, Man's Search for Meaning. Or maybe it's Man's Search for Himself, I forget exactly. But he writes about this where he says that there was one time after they had burned the manuscript right in front of him, they took him out into the yard and stripped him of all of his clothes. He was completely naked. And finally, they saw that he still had a thin gold wedding band on his ring, on his finger, his ring finger. And they even took that. And he says, that was like the final vestige of the life that he'd known before, that they were taking away from him. And their intent was to try to make them hate them. Mm-hmm. That was their intent, to just cause so much harm. And in that moment, when he gave over that gold wedding band and he had nothing left of the previous life, he said that he touched a place inside of himself, and he calls it the last, I forget exactly the words he used, but really like the last place that is untouched by anyone and can never be touched by anyone in the entire world but you. And that place is your place of power that you get to choose. And I mean, God bless this guy. I mean, he made the choice. He realized that he had the choice, and he made it to not get angry, to not fall into the trap of hating them. So he said in his mind, you could take anything and everything in my life, but what you will not take away from me is my choice to choose what thoughts I'm going to think and how I'm going to feel. Mm-hmm. And thank God he got out of the concentration camps, and he created a whole line of, like, I believe it's therapy, is called logotherapy, and helping people train that part of themselves that can choose no matter what circumstance there are in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when I hear that story, and I hope I did it justice in telling it, but I can seriously only imagine. I've never been in a situation like that. I hope I never am. I hope no one listening is in that situation. But like, if one man can do that, then we could take that choice into any situation in our lives.
Yeah. It's crazy, like, hearing that, because that's like probably one of my favorite stories, because this is actually one of my favorite ideas, honestly, like really one of my favorite ideas, because I've been catching myself a lot over the last few years reacting to things. And it's just it's so tempting to fall into the trap to like believing that your outside circumstance is what's making you feel a certain way, because a lot of people just don't want to think that it's their thoughts about things that are causing, them to think that way. Mm-hmm. It's like crazy, like hearing that story. And then like, there was like some people got like super upset because like Popeyes ran out of the new chicken sandwich. It's just like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah. And I think part of it too is it's easier to blame outside circumstances and situations for the way you feel, because like if you do, like after hearing that story, then like how can you like just now I'm like, yo, like there was like certain things I got upset at today, and I was like, like why?
Yeah, exactly.
Story, I don't have any, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy, and it's a practice. Like that's the biggest thing. Yeah. The practice. But then you'll notice that like once, like for example, like when I like when I like at the airport, I really wanted to be angry.
Mm.
Like I really wanted to be like, this sucks.
There's a
But,
bittersweetness to it.
yeah, but then like I told myself like it's not intelligent to feel that way.
Yeah.
Like it wouldn't be doing me any service to feel that way. And that's like the difficult battle that you have to have inside of yourself sometimes when you realize that you're 100% responsible for the way you feel. It's like, fuck, I
Yeah.
want to be angry. Like I
Yep.
really want to be mad at this person, but like
Yep.
I know that that's a choice that I'm going to be angry.
And it's just mental poison.
It is, exactly.
Literally, actually.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
science is now proving that it's poison to yourself.
Well, then also listen to some of our previous episodes about like what your thoughts do to your gene expression and how they restructure your like it literally like it's you're interacting with your reality all the time,
Yeah.
and it's having an impact on you, and you're having an impact on it by the way that you choose to think and feel and the way that you choose to respond to situations.
Mhm.
And I think among anything that I've learned over the last 3 years of all the books, that idea is the most important idea that I've ever heard. And it's the one idea that has radically transformed my life faster than any other idea that I've heard.
Mhm.
But it's practicing it, that the real money is it's in the practice of it.
Yeah. And it's literally waking up. Like what I was going to say before, just a word that is rattling around in my mind, because you mentioned how it's so easy to blame others and just to do that and to not take responsibility. And even when we're, like you were saying, like even when we're aware of it, it's like still a hard choice, because going back to the old way, it's a trance. It's so easy to do it because we've done it before. And when you're in it, there's a, like I said, bittersweetness to it. And it's not difficult. It's easier. So it's a path of least resistance, but there's no growth there. It's just collapsing back. And so it's a trance because we're aware, or at least at some level, we're aware of like, this is not serving me, as you said, but it's a trance because we still fall into that. It's like subconscious. It's like we don't have control of it until we consciously think and realize like, I do have the control. Until you tell yourself that, you're gonna fall into that rut, because that rut is deep. It's been carved for a long time, and it's supported as well. Like those, people, those 7 or 8 people you said who were angry. Yeah, the person right next to the guy who was getting angry, who was also angry, was like, yeah, we deserve better. We're angry together. Yeah, like I get you. Like there's support. There's not much support to take a more lighter approach to it. The support has to come from within.
Yeah, dude, I think that there was also, because there was 2 flights flying out of that gate. And so it was one to Boston and one to New York. And the person announced, oh, the flight's canceled. And then so people were like, oh, is it the Boston one or is it the New York one? And so I walked over and this lady was there and I was like, hey, like, do you know what's going on? And she's like, yeah, one of the flights got canceled. And I was like, do you know which one it was? And she's like, oh, are you on the New York one? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, like, I'm really sorry. And I think she was surprised by like how unreactive I was that my flight was canceled. Like, I don't know, like sometimes when you really practice this, it kind of feels like you have superpowers.
Oh, hell yeah.
Because like the world isn't affecting you the way that it's affecting everyone else. And then you're like, holy shit, I actually like have a say in my reality. And it's so empowering.
Yeah.
Like it really is. It's crazy. Like how good it feels when you try it out, you try it on, and it works one time. And then another thing that I want to point out, like, cause I'm not perfect at this, and there's been times over the last few months, especially like with my stock trading, where I'll like make a bad decision during that day and I'll think about it all fucking day. But then like the next day I'll wake up and I'll be like, yo, it's a new day. Like, why did I spend all day thinking that way about that when I know in my mind that that tomorrow I'm going to feel better about it.
Yep.
It's like, it's that constant battle of like, you have control.
You need to look at yourself in the mirror like that meme. It's like, we fucking talked about this.
Yeah,
you have the choice every single moment of your life. Choose positive thoughts. We talked about this.
Or my other favorite one's the Spider-Man one, man. It's like, yo, when you finally figure out who's been responsible for ruining your life, and it's like Spider-Man pointing at himself.
Yeah. That's exactly it. Yeah. And, funny thing, let's end this episode here to make it, consumable, easy to digest. Because there's a lot of great stuff here. And hey, listen to this multiple times. There's gold here. But I just want to point out that I know when you're getting lit about an episode when more curse comes out. More cursing.
I'm like sitting my back straight. I'm like sitting up, my shoulders back. I'm like, fucking do this.
Let's go.
Choices and shit. Yeah.
spirituality.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's how I'm in my energy. I don't express that much, but
if my microphone was like attached to my mouth, I would have been like pacing around my room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got to get an extension, man.
Yeah.
Then you can walk around, stomp around all the time.
Yeah. Go say what up to the cat.
Yeah, exactly. Get her 2 cents on it. Do you have a choice? Meow. Yup. Okay, that was ridiculous. You guys find any final thoughts?
No, where's Autumn today?
She's sleeping. She's sleeping actually right behind me. Yeah, cool. She's leaving us alone today.
Nice.
All right, people. You say something to end. I ended the last episode.
Bye.
Peace. And that's it for today. So thanks for tuning in, and we really hope you enjoyed listening to this episode as much as we enjoyed recording it. So any questions, any comments, just connect with us on Instagram. You could always DM us at Kevin Francis Carton
and at Chris J. Carton. And also, if you feel guided to, the one thing we do ask is for you to please rate the podcast and leave us a review. This way we can reach more people and impact more lives with this amazing information. With that, we'll see you on the next episode.